everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Jada's Conscientious Convos. Today's conversation will be about toxic parenting. Now, the reason why today's topic is about toxic parenting is because I've seen a video. I don't know if you guys saw the video. It's Blac Chyna and her mother. I don't know what TV show it is or where it even came from, but it was on Facebook. And I clicked the video, and I'll put a clip after this so you guys can see. Just look at the clip.
You a disrespectful ass girl.
days.
You disrespectful is what you are.
I know.
Yeah, you are. I don't care what your mother did to you. I don't care if she sold your pussy to an army. You still better respect your mama. You disrespect everybody. You make your fucking people cry. You fucking take a call from your mama. You took a call from your mother. Why you take the call? Why you take a call?
And not only did I see that video, but I also saw a post from one of my good friends. Her name is Elijah. She posted something on Instagram on her story, and she was talking about how being a parent and having a child, there's no need for you to instill fear into your children. Your children are not supposed to fear you. Your children are not supposed to you're yelling at your kid and walking behind them with a belt or something to beat them and for them to listen to you, and instilling discipline and all this all these different methods of parenting that have been passed on, and they definitely originate through it's a slave mindset. It originates during slavery. We were whipped in order for us to listen, and we're doing the same thing to our kids. And so in light of all these beautiful young women, women who are younger than me, women who are my age, and women who are older than me a couple years, 22, 23, 24, but still young enough, bringing in children into the world. I think that it's very important for this video to surface and for you guys to understand and hear some of the toxic methods and mannerisms that we've been brought up with, and some of the things that we want to break, bringing up our own children. And so the first thing I'm going to start off with, from what you guys saw in the clip with Blac Chyna and her mother, she said, I don't care if your mother sold your... I'm not going to say the word, it's a curse word. I'm going to keep this video PG-13. But, I don't care if your mother sold your, I'll put the word there, to the army. You better respect your mother. That is the first thing that we're going to talk about. First of all, the complex that we have about this, because I'm your parent, you're supposed to respect me. It doesn't really work like that. Respect is a two-way street. If you respect me, I will respect you. That's not a problem. But if you're going to constantly disrespect, bash, demean, degrade me as my parent, and because I'm your child, I'm supposed to give you respect for the simple fact that you're my parent, then you have another thing coming, honestly. And I say that because the clip of Blac Chyna and her mother that you guys just saw, she said something along the lines of, I don't care, basically, I don't care what I do to you. It doesn't matter what I do to you. You better respect me because I'm your mother. No. Because at the end of the day, I'm a person and you're a person. And people are supposed to respect one another. Doesn't matter the relationship that we have. It's just human nature to be respectful. Sometimes it's not in human nature, it's not in your human nature, and I get that. Then you're just a naturally disrespectful person. That's another story. But other than that, on a normal case, people are supposed to respect one another. Point blank, period. Okay? So this, I'm your parent and you're my child, you're supposed to respect me no matter what. Break that cycle. Because if you're disrespecting your child, don't expect your child to not disrespect you back. Or don't expect your child to just respect you because you gave birth to them. Like, that just, it's like ill. Who, like, no offense, but who do you think you are? You're my parent. Yes, I love you. Yes, but respect me. I'm a person. Don't try to talk to me like I'm a dog or like I'm some kind of animal or some scum on the street that you don't even know, some stranger, and then I'm supposed to just, yes, mom. Yes, dad. Okay, mom. Okay, dad. No. No. That's the first thing. Second thing I want to talk about in parenting is the discipline. A lot of people feel like the only way to discipline a child is to instill fear into the child. If the child doesn't fear you, they're not going to respect you. Or they're not going to listen to you. And that's not true. There's so many more ways for you to get your child to listen to you and to respect you and to understand you, other than yelling, screaming, hitting, whipping. It's like, if you think about it, it's kind of like you're massa and your child is your slave. And to get your child to listen to you, because your child is not listening, you're gonna beat their ass, or you're gonna yell at them till your lungs hurt, or you're gonna, like, no. Have a conversation with your child. Ask questions. Let your child feel comfortable enough to ask you questions. A lot of times, you know, now, okay, I love my mother to death. To death. I will do anything for that woman. I would take a bullet for that woman. I love her to death. One thing that, you know, I was brought up on is basically when I say something, don't ask me why. And, you know, it kind of, you know what that does is breaks your child's inquisitivity. You know, they don't want to ask questions to anybody else because they were brought up to not ask questions. So they're just going with the flow, doing what people tell them to do because they are told to do it, and they have no, you know, reason behind it. There's no benefit to them. They don't know why they're doing it. They're just doing it because they were told to do it, and they were also told to not ask why, or not ask any questions behind the instruction. And that is toxic. That's very toxic. Because in a society like this, like generations after our parents and our grandparents and generations after us, they ask a lot of questions. Like, I ask a lot of questions now. We ask questions because we want to know, what's this about? What's it going to do for me? How is it going to do that for me? What am I going to gain from it? What are you going to gain from it? Like, you know, like, we need to ask questions to have complete understanding behind the things that we do, the things that we say, and the things that we take part in. You know what I'm saying? Bringing up a child to have them not ask you questions and do things because you say so, it's like, again, who are you to tell me to do this because you say so? Like, no. That's not going to work. That's not how you raise, well, that's not how I will be raising my kids. I know that for a fact. I'm going to encourage my children to ask questions. I'm going to encourage my children to, and you know, another point that comes across or brings up is that authority. Like, we're afraid to question authority. People are afraid to question authority. You're bringing up your kids to be afraid to question authority. And that's probably the worst kind of, fear to have. Like, just because you have this and I don't have it, that puts you in an authoritative position, and I must do what you say because you said so. It's like, well, who died and made you the fucking king and, the tell-all, do-all? You know what I'm saying? Like, just because you say so doesn't make it right. Like, why do you say so? Why is that good? Why do you want me to do this? Why do you need me to say this? Why do you want me to go do that? Like, you know what I'm saying? I want to know. Because if I don't know, I'm just blindly following the mass. You know what I'm saying? And you don't want your people, you don't want your children blindly following anybody or blindly following anything. Because then they'll do it the rest of their lives and they'll never fall out of line. And when I say fall out of line, I mean mainstream, line of thinking, line of action, line of anything. Like, all mainstream. They'll never ask questions. They'll never want to know why. They'll never get any clarification. All because they said so and they were told not to ask why. We gotta break that. That cycle has to be broken. And I say that because, like I said earlier in the video, there are a lot of young women and a lot of young men bringing children into this world, and in my generation, and I just feel like, I don't know anybody personally to say like, oh, they're gonna be a bad parent or their kids are gonna be this way and that way. Like, I'll never say anything like that, but from what I can see with my own eyes on Facebook, on all types of social media, I see that people are not ready to raise kids, like, at all. Like, nobody in my generation is ready to raise a kid. Because we lack understanding of ourselves. We don't know who we are. And if you don't know who you are, how can you raise a child to know who they are? Or to try to find, themselves if you still haven't found yourself. You know what I'm saying? Another unhealthy mannerism that is a part of, that plays a role in toxic parenting is communication and the lack of communication. If you don't know how to communicate, I feel like, a lot of what it is that parents, like older people, parents, grandparents, they feel like they can only communicate with people their age or people older. And because you're younger than you, you're still viewed as a child, and stay in a child's place, or stay in a child's place. Stay in a child's place, and you'll understand when you're older, and blah 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 blah. A child's place? What is a child's place? What does it mean to stay in a child's place? Does that mean that, like, okay, I understand, like, when you're talking about something that a child wouldn't understand, like a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, whatever age, wouldn't understand. You don't tell them to stay in a child's place, though. You explain it to them the way that a child would understand. You understand what I'm saying? Don't stay in a child's place. You're not supposed to be in grown folks' business, blah, 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 blah. No, communicate with your kids. What that does is break their opportunities and the future opportunities that they will have to be open with you and to want you to be open with them. And when a child wants to be open with you and you want to be open with your child, you want to have an open communication, an open relationship with your kids, when you tell a child to stay in a child's place, is like, okay, well, now I know that I can't talk to my mom about, or my dad about, you know what I'm saying? And that's very toxic. That's very toxic. What you should do is just explain things in a way that a child would understand. You know, a child is a child. There's certain terms and certain words and things that they'll understand, aside from things that they won't, or methods that they won't understand. So all you got to do is alter what you're saying, alter how you're saying it, and alter how it comes across, and a child would understand. There's no such thing as a child's place. A child is a human being just like you're a human being, and they may experience the same things that you're speaking about with another adult, and all you have to do is alter the way you communicate it. Communication, big thing, especially. And I can only speak for Black families. Like, I've never been raised in a white household. I've never, you know, seen how, like, growing up, I've had white friends and stuff. Like, I did. I went to not an all-white school, but predominantly white school in elementary. And my friends were white. Middle school was, like, the first time that I've been experienced to having, like, you know, some Black friends. I had a lot of Black friends. You know, the school was mixed. And then I went to high school. In high school, I only had Black friends, right? And so the transition into me growing up and stuff, I've only been raised in a Black household. My mother's Black, stepfather's Black, my father is Black, my brothers and sister blackity black. So I can only speak for Black households. And what I see is that there's a common ground when I speak with my peers about how our parents communicate with us. Some people's parents don't communicate the same way my parent will communicate with me. You know, sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse. But these are things, very key things that we need to discuss and expose in our you know, households, and how we communicate with each other, and how we parent. How we parent, it's important. You're bringing up a child that's going to bring up another child who will bring up another child and interact with other people in the world. You know what I'm saying? And you want to make sure that you're doing things in a conducive way. There's no right or wrong way to parent. I'm going to put that out there now. I'm not putting this video out to say that there's a right or wrong way to parent, but there are conducive and non-conducive ways to parent. You get what I'm saying? So all the things that I'm bringing up are non-conducive methods of parenting that we need to break in order to have conducive parenting. Boom. Word of the day, conducive. But yeah, so that was the second point. Communication. Communication is a big thing. I'm looking at my book right now because I did write down some things that I wanted to discuss in this video. And I spoke about communication. I spoke about, you know, I spoke a little bit about being open with your kids. I'm going to touch on that a little bit more. But one thing I really want to touch on right now is listening. Listening is probably one of the biggest faults of the Black community. We don't listen. We don't listen. But you know why sometimes we don't listen? Because the things that we're listening to are nonsense. It doesn't make, you're not making sense to me. I'm not understanding you. You're saying things that you sound dumb, right? A lot of times we don't listen because the person or the thing we're listening to on the opposing end just isn't making any sense. And why would we want to listen to something that doesn't make sense? But aside from that, in a parent to child relationship, listening is very key. Children are supposed to listen to their parents, and parents are supposed to listen to their children. Now, when you say, oh, a parent is supposed to listen to a child, I'm supposed to listen to a child, that's my child, they're supposed to listen to me. No. The parent and the child, like the child, I don't mean in a ruling manner, like listen to what I say because I'm your parent kind of thing. That's where that understanding comes from. They think because I say listen to your child, it's not like they're ruling you or they're telling you what to do or anything like that. Like, children say things that should set off an alarm or a light bulb in your head, like, oh shoot, my child just said XYZ. Let me ask more clarifying questions to find out what my child means, what my child is feeling, how my child is interpreting this feeling. Like, clarifying questions. And that's where communication and being open comes from. Boom. Look at that. Okay? Listening. As a Black community, we have a lot of mental issues, mental health issues, and depression, anxiety, a bunch of different, disorders that we may have, whether they're self-diagnosed or whether they are doctor-diagnosed or professionally diagnosed, rather. Sometimes there are signs, there are different ways that you can pick up on that without even having to, go too deep into anything or any conversation with someone. And where the listening comes in is that if some of these things, or let's say for instance, like your child comes to you and you're like, Mom, I'm depressed. You depressed? What you depressed for? You don't pay no bills. You don't do this. You don't do that. You don't work, blah, 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 blah. You don't blah, 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 blah. How you depressed? You just a child. Go live your life, blah, blah, blah. It's like, there are way, so much more things and so much more to life than paying bills and working. Stress is everywhere. We all live individual lives. We all lead individual lives. We all have different interactions with different people on a daily basis. And those types of things can stress us out individually. And for you to sit here and tell me because I don't work or pay bills as much as you do, I don't have the right to be depressed or stressed or upset about anything, that's toxic. Toxic. Who are you to tell me that I don't have a right to be upset? Who are you to tell me I don't have a right to be depressed? Who are you to tell me that I don't have a right to feel how I feel because I don't do this and I don't do that? Listen to your children. That's how we find these kids committing suicide, being bullied in school and don't know how to deal with being bullied in school, or don't know how to come to you and talk to you about being bullied in school because you said this and you said that to them to make them feel uncomfortable enough to not want to even come to you. You know what I'm saying? Anxiety is a big thing. Anxiety and depression are probably the top two mental disorders I find, people having because of the way we were brought up and because of the way that, the fear that you instill in your child, the fear that, or the discipline that you try to instill in your child because you're the parent and they're the child, and you pay the bills and put a roof over their head, so they have to do this. And it's just, it's sad. It's really sad. And my suggestion to, all of you young Black women and men that are bringing up children, have children, having children, or are planning on having children in the near future, or whatever, the case may be open with your child. Communicate with your child. Bring your child up to be comfortable. Allow your child to feel comfortable and confident enough to confide in you. You're a parent. You're not a master. You don't own your child. That's another thing. You do not own your children. Your children came from you, but they are living their own lives. You do not own your children. Once that child is out of your vagina, that is not your property NT longer. Understand that. You cannot tell your child how to think. Things that you can't do when you have a child. It's your child, not your property, not your, not your phone, not your diary, not your book, not your book bag, not your, it's children are not your property, period. Children are not your property. All you can do is guide them. And that's what a parent is supposed to do. Guide their children to living the best lives that they can. That doesn't mean tell your child what to do. That doesn't mean try to hold your child's hand throughout their lives and, manage the things that, you just have to let your child be a child and live their life into their adolescence. Be an adult make their own mistakes, learn from their own mistakes, and just live their own lives, lead their own lives. Yes, as a parent, you want to bring your child up the best way that you can, because you know you've been through it before and you've seen it before and you've experienced it before, but you experienced it about 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 20 years ago. This is a new time, new age, new generation. Things are not the same. And so you can't have the same mannerisms and the same mindset and the same thought processes that you had 20, 30, 40 years ago. The new age. And back to what I was saying, my suggestion to all you young black women and black men bringing up kids is be open with your children, communicate with your children, bring your children up in a way that, you know, you would have wanted to be brought up. Bring your child up in a way that, you know, they will bring your grandchild up in a positive, non-toxic way, you know? I'm not gonna say that I was brought up in a toxic, you know, household or around toxic mannerisms. Some of them have been, not gonna lie. Some of the ways that I was brought up have been a little bit toxic, and that's how I know I'm gonna move forward with my kids and do different, be different and say different. And like I said, I love my mother to death. Mom, if you're watching this, I love you. You're not toxic, and I will never say that you're toxic, but some of the things, because you didn't know better, they happened, you know? And all I can do from now is be better, do better, know better. And I thank you, Dad. I thank you for being the balance. If you guys don't know, like, a lot of you guys don't know my parents. None of you know my parents. Well, I'm gonna say a lot of you guys don't know my parents, but my mom is the one that, like, she's a mom, you know, like, she worries a lot and she enforces a lot, and she wants me to be a responsible young woman and, you know, be independent and save money and do this and do that. And then my dad is just like, okay, so I understand that, you know, this is your situation. Why don't you try this going forward? You know, why don't you do this? You know, you can try this, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just a balance. My mom is like, my dad is like, and it balanced me out. And that's how I am, the way I am today. Lovely little me. But, yes, black people, we need to do better. It all starts in our households. It all starts with having a two-parent households, moms and dads. They're both important, imperative in a child's upbringing. I'm telling you imperative because it's imperative to a properly raised child. You can't raise a child in a one-parent household, single-parent household. Not just the mom, because the mom doesn't know how to raise a boy to be a man, and the man doesn't know how to raise a girl to be a woman. Period. So children have to see man being men. Children have to see women being women. However that, you know, whatever that means to you guys, that means to you. But I have my own interpretations of what, you know, it is to be a woman, and from what I've seen, what it is to be a man. And that's different for everybody, because we all have different situations and different households, different lives that we live. So those are not going to be the same across people, individuals, but people, children have to see a man being a man and a woman being a woman. Okay? And take these tips and things that I've talked about in this video and just do better. I want you guys to raise some fucking soldiers, bro. We need soldiers. There's a lot of stuff happening in this world, a lot of things coming down on our heads, and we need soldiers. Don't bring up no weak ass child. No, we need soldiers. So be a soldier for your child, and your child will be a soldier for their child and for you as well. And I promise you, they need to see two of them. 2 soldiers. They don't need to see just a man or just a woman. They need 2 soldiers. And as always, black people, I love you.